Okay, so I want to introduce the interview now. This was one of those classics again where the entire band they look like they're very cold in the interview. But at any rate, it is Boston. It's Kevin, Brendan, Justin, and Dan from Exsanguination. Great interview. Great time had by all.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out their new record, my God, what is wrong with you?
Yeah,
It's amazing. Go check it out.
absolutely. And there is quite a bit of Swedish death metal geeking out to be had. So take it away. So going back to the beginning, how did you guys come together? And like, what were your backgrounds that brought you together to become Exsanguination?
They kind of go around one by one.
Yeah, one by one. Like, I guess introduce yourselves to you.
Okay, you can go first. I'm Dan. I'm on guitar and vocals.
Okay.
I'm Justin. I play guitar.
I'm Brendan. I'm the drummer.
Okay.
Kevin. I play bass.
All right. So how did you guys come to meet? Have you been in other bands together or how did it happen?
Brendan and I were in Beyond the Sixth Seal like 20 years ago. That's really the only band of any type of significance that I've played in. You know, it's actually done stuff that maybe people might have heard of. But we've all played in like, you know, the local, whatever local scene is, you know, in underground bands.
Yeah.
No one of any real note. So, except Dan. Dan was in 7 Day Curse for a long time.
Yeah, we're going back late '90s.
Okay.
And we all kind of started meeting each other in a rehearsal studio, kind of, you know how those go. Bands hanging out in the hallways and stuff like that. That's how we all kind of became friends. You know, I didn't know you guys knew Kevin, but I met Kevin through them. But I knew these two from, you know, the rehearsal spaces and stuff like that, and hanging out at shows and whatnot. And we definitely found out right away we were into a lot of the same music.
Right.
Yeah.
That, you know, there was some, like, for me, some certain bands that I was kind of off on my own thing, and then it was kind of odd that you guys were coincidentally into some of them too. So that kind of brought us together.
Yeah, I really think you guys have a great sound. When I first heard you, I was like, this is a Swedish band. This is definitely Swedish.
That's a compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, it was Necrophagist Entombed was my first thoughts. Yeah, definitely. Very, very cool. Yeah.
So I was so surprised. I was like, oh, Massachusetts. Of course, we've had other great things come out of New England, like School of Grind.
School of Grind.
But what was kind of the first heavy music that you first got into, like when you started listening to it? Can you think of something that kind of was the gateway for you?
It's a hard question. We're all old.
Yeah, how far back you want to go?
Probably when I was a younger teenager, when I first started, a friend of mine got me into Slayer. That's probably Slayer was the band that got me into like extreme bands. Like before that, I listened to I had like a Black Sabbath record, CD CD, like an old greatest hits that they put out 30 years ago, whatever. I had that, like an Iron Maiden thing I'd listen to, and then my friend had the Slayer record, and it was really good. It was Rain and Blood, of course.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know people could play that fast, so I was like, really good.
With me, it's weird. This is such an odd answer, but when I was 11, I got into all this and I started playing guitar and stuff really quick. But for me, it was actually Aerosmith. But then what happened was, at my age, huge gateway, and I can say this for a lot of people my age, is although I've become very disappointed in this band over the years, without a doubt, you know, I can say for a lot of kids my age, when Metallica put out the one video during Injustice for All, that was a lot of us had never seen like double bass and all that type of stuff. And of course, you know, quickly I was getting into all this different thrash metal. And when the Black album came out, you know, I was so excited because I wanted to hear the next thrash metal masterpiece. And instead I got into Sandman, which I'm not saying that stuff's bad, but I wanted the 10-minute like thrash metal epics.
Yeah,
you know, I was so young and getting into this, and you know, that was a letdown. So then I gravitated more to like the Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax, Nuclear Assault, stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know, and then eventually death metal.
I agree with your assessment.
No, I remember when they played at the Grammys They played one at the
Right.
Grammys. Remember, like when they ended one and just the quiet, because the people in tuxedos were like, "What was that?" Like,
Right, right.
I'll never forget that. My parents were like, "Turn this shit off," you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and little, and little did I know I'd get very quickly getting the stuff that was even more extreme than that. That at that point
Yeah.
I probably even know existed yet. But yeah, and then it got into death metal and stuff like that. Of course.
Yeah, I mean, and the Black album's really good. Like, I can appreciate it now. The production's incredible on that album, you know. But back then, I had already heard like Altars of Madness and stuff, so I was like, "Fuck this! Shit. What the
I
hell?
respect.
It's not
Yeah,
fast at all," you know.
I respect everything. I'll never say a band's bad. Not even Metallica. I mean, they can do what they do. To me, it was just a total separate band. I wanted the thrash metal
Right.
epic
Right.
songwriting. It was clearly over. And that was
Yeah.
my disappointment.
Yeah. It was that. What did we used to say? We said for the Black album, they weren't our band anymore. They were everyone's band. That's what
Right?
happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all the football players at school liked them and shit. And I was like, "Oh, fuck off."
Yeah, that got a little weird from that. Yeah, I'm with you on the same
Mhm.
page.
Yeah, exactly.
What did you think of the new album?
With the new Metallica,
I think that says it all right
I
there.
think you had the
haven't
same
listened-
reaction we did.
I haven't listened to it.
Yeah.
Reactions just from previous stuff that they put out recent, whatever the most recent stuff is.
I think
Yeah.
we more or less know what it sounds like.
Yeah. I heard one
Yeah.
song, and it's just like, yep, there they go trying again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's not.
Good try, guys.
Yeah.
I see some
Yeah.
snippets on YouTube. That's about it.
Well, my thing is like, you know, which these new songs, what songs are you going to bump out of the live set for this shit? You know what I mean? We're not going to play Battery now. We're not going to play like what gets nixed so we can hear this new crap. That's always my bone of contention, you know?
Right.
We're not going to hear Creeping Death because of this, you know? So.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah,
And
is there
there's
someone in the crowd that actually came to hear this song over
Yeah,
any of the other stuff? Like,
You know they're there. They exist,
I
right?
don't have money back because they didn't hear the new one.
A band
Right.
like that can make new albums. They should just stop.
agreed.
Just play
Yeah.
old stuff.
Yeah, I know. I hear you.
So anyway, back to you guys.
Yeah.
I love the album cover, which we actually have up behind us.
Yeah.
I love the coffin bearers and the dark.
I like it. Very Burzum. Very
Yeah.
early Burzum. I like it. Yeah. Where did you guys get the artwork from? Like, is it a guy you know, or like how'd you get the artwork?
It's a guy I just hooked up with on Instagram for the first thing we put out.
Yeah.
He had done some artwork for the previous album. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And that other one, he kind of just had hanging around. And I just told him I was interested in it because I kind of like it. It's simple. It's like, black metal type album.
Yeah. Really like it. Yeah.
Minimalist.
Yeah, and if you put it right next to Spectral Hymns, it's a real good juxtaposition because of the red and Spectral Hymns and the blue.
What about the name Exsanguination? Where did you guys come up with that? Because that's and there's two of you, right? Is there?
There
were two, both in
Massachusetts.
That's
Was
weird.
there at one point? I found like more than two, I think.
I went on
Really?
I went on Encyclopedia Metallum and just put in Exsanguination. I didn't see any bands come up.
Right.
The time I did do it, and it didn't come back with anything. So I was like, all right, I'll just do that.
Yeah.
Well, I told him too, just make our audience bigger, so we just like drowned out the other ones if they're out there. I didn't worry about it. That was my.
Yeah, I don't understand what these bands that where they take a name that is already listed. I don't understand that. Like now, it's not 1972 anymore. Like you can verify that.
I mean, we
name
definitely
is
didn't know till long after we had started.
Yeah.
We did look, and we were like, I was too.
Yeah,
I'm like, there's no other
I
examination.
didn't see that they had anything,
Yeah.
recorded because they got like every band on there.
Yeah.
I might want to look up something. It'll usually
Yeah.
come up, but I don't remember. So
You have to change all your social media to become the real Exsanguination.
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not doing all that. I'm just like, I'll just leave it up and people
Well,
find
if
us
you
when you go.
If you look them up now, it says name change. So I guess they were the ones that went fuck. And,
Yeah.
let's change your name.
That was my
It's,
plan. Not even to be sarcastic. Apparently they took the note. They got the message.
That's great. Yeah.
So the sound is similar. Was the writing process different or the same for Spectral Hymns and Burial Rites? Did you go about it the same way, or was things different?
The second one was probably a little more thought put into it because Burial Rites had been like a combination of like the first demo we put together, and then we recorded four more songs that we were gonna put out for an EP. But then the label, like, you know, I think it was their idea or our idea, just put it together, you know, put them both together on one, you know, disc so people can get at it, as opposed to having them, you know, two different things
Right.
to worry about. Just having them all together. The second time, it still wasn't more of a focused stuff like on my part. Like I write a lot of the riffs at my house, and then like I'll kind of like get a skeleton of like how I think they're gonna go, and I'll put the riffs in order, and I can you know lay down drums and everything in my house and all that stuff, and then I'll send it out, and they can tell me whether or not it's any good or not. And the stuff that these guys are into or more, you know, have ideas for, they'll put their 2 cents in there, and that's how we typically put the songs together. I present the ideas, and then everyone kind of tells me what they think.
And it's not difficult because, like I said, we are all on the same page. I think, like music wise, so they're very quick conversations, very quick.
So everybody's it's usually unanimous. Yeah, that's cool.
No fisticuffs.
No.
No,
Well,
No one's
just,
trying to
yeah,
sneak an accordion
no.
in or anything like that. You know.
For Dan, your vocal delivery is so distinctive and different. Is there anything that you have to do, like to warm up, to get ready for a performance? No?
No, I do not push hard at all. Most of the volume's coming from the microphone.
Wow.
My throat hurts more talking to people over loud music after we're done playing. I always try to say, can we go out? I'll talk to you all night, but can we go outside? That's what kills my voice. The funny thing about the vocals is that I don't know if you guys agree with this, but I know we're a death metal band, but to me, there's a lot of I hear a lot of black metal. Like it's in there somewhere in the
Yeah,
mix.
definitely.
Yeah.
So when they started writing the stuff, and I also compared it to other bands, specifically these two guys were in, I thought a more black metal thing would fit. But what's weird about it, you know, I talked at the beginning of this interview when I said there were certain bands we were all into. One of the unifying bands, we were all huge into Dismember. I mean, one of my favorite bands of all time. I know I can speak for them. And what's weird is when I listen to us, there are moments where the vocals sound like Dismember vocals to me, which is weird because as much as I love that band, they're not in my mind when I'm doing those vocals. So it just goes to show how much of an impact your influence can have on you. Because there's moments this is Dismember, even though I wasn't trying to do Dismember vocals, I was thinking more black metal. And so yeah, that's no, I don't warm up or nothing. I just think there's not a lot of volume in what I do. It's all the volume's coming from the microphone. And my voice is hoarse now, and that's just from stuff going on that has nothing to do with music.
It's so funny that you bring up Dismember because I've had so many 5 drinks in arguments over whether Edge of Sanity is better than Dismember. Those two bands, you know, who's better, and it depends on how many beers we've had. You know,
the arguments I get in it have nothing to do with the album. I'm forever defending that band. Like when people talk about this, Swedish death metal, I've noticed over the years, and that's why, like when I met these guys, even back then, I feel they've never gotten the respect they deserved, even to this day. I just don't think you may disagree, but I think when people have the discussion of Swedish death metal, they are not the first band that comes up, and I think they should be one of the first. Carnage and Tomb Dismember. I even think, I remember when At the Gates was really exploding in the mid '90s, and even then I was defending like, listen, there's other bands. It's not just At the Gates, so. And nothing against those other bands too. I just think, to me, Dismember. I mean, that is the sound right there of that.
And there's something going on with them too, because like an ever-flowing stream, like it's on Spotify, it's not on Spotify, it's on Spotify, it's not, so someone's arguing, and that's always about fighting over songwriting credits or whatever, so that we can all not get paid by Spotify.
Right.
It's just the weirdest thing.
Yeah, this stuff hasn't been available because they just got back on Nuclear Blast and they remastered their whole catalog. So now they're back up on Spotify.
Yeah, they're on now. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just back because they're in between labels. And now
Gotcha.
they're back on Nuclear Blast.
If you want a quick, funny dismember story, we all went
Yeah.
to see them in Worcester years ago. And
Uh-huh.
it was like, Justin laughs. He's like, Dan, it's the only time I ever saw you smile. You looked happy. We hung out with them. And just so you know, they were really just nice guys. And like,
Yeah.
I was
Unbelievable.
asking them the stupidest questions, man. I was asking them like, in I think it was like one of the videos, Skin Father, one of them, I'm like, who made those Christmas lights of your logo and stuff? And he like was telling me where they got, so our friend made it. And you know, they were really, really cool and just hanging out with us and talking. I mean, I was probably being obnoxious with the questions, and but they were just really, right before they went up to play, like, hey, we'll see you up front and stuff. And we hugged them all when we were done. It was just great being such a fan and hanging out with those guys for the night. That was years
That's
ago,
great. Yeah.
going back 18, 20 years ago. But yeah, we got to meet them, and they were really good guys.
See, that's the thing. Like, that's the glory of being a metal fan, is that no matter how old you get, that stuff never fades. Like, we're teenagers forever. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
just, you know, these, like, those asking those questions and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I remember like when I met Ross from Immolation, I had like a whole bunch of questions like that. You know, he was trying to sell merch and I wouldn't go away. And, you know, it's just,
Right.
you know, you never grow up, you know, it just keeps us.
Yeah.
I don't think that fans of like the White Stripes are like that.
No.
You know what I mean? I don't think that they're as
Probably not.
rabid as we are. I just don't.
Well,
You know.
also, how often I would say I've met more people that I'm a fan of than you would if you were into the bigger, like, mainstream bands.
Right.
You know,
Right.
got a lot, open for these bands or whatever. That's, you know, a rare thing in probably other music scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always great, you know, when someone comes off stage and if you want to say something, you know, they're going to be right at their merch table. So I'll go buy a t-shirt, you know, and, you know, figure something out so we can have a little conversation. So I love that about this genre.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
But, you know, I would definitely say your vocals have that blackened feel. And the second most distinctive thing is Brandon. His round snare punches are just wild. What's his typical drum kit set look up?
What did you say about my snare drum? You lost me.
It was good.
Oh, she likes it.
Yeah.
She likes your snare pop.
Yeah.
She likes it. Yeah.
Oh,
And I was
yeah,
wondering, you know, kind of what your drum kit set looks like.
Do you have the big gong like Neil Peart? You have the whole.
I actually would love that, but no, I don't.
That's the one.
Or the
piece of
chimes. The guy from
Hawkwind
Hawkwind had like chimes all around the drum seat.
I am older. You know, I actually might invest in one of those. I should do that.
There you go. All right. Yeah.
But I play a pretty basic kit. Like, I play like a 4-piece. My snare drum is, I think that's probably the nicest part of my drum kit. Like, I bought a new one a couple years ago, and it's one of those like Bell brass ones that like, I don't know, it's well known, like, you know, like Metallica uses it and all that kind of stuff. It's one of those. But I got it after recording in a recording studio, and this guy had like a million snare drums, and I thought that was the best one. But
That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I used to, back in the MySpace era, I used to email back and forth with Jack Endino, the producer, because he's just as crazy into music as I am. And I remember one day he sent me this message. He had gotten the Back in Black snare drum, and he was like holding it up. And I'm like, this is over MySpace. I'm like, turn it sideways, turn it this way. I want to see the back. This went on for like 25 minutes. My wife came in and went, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, get out of here, woman. Get out of here. This is the Back in Black snare drum.
It was not me.
It was all, the head was all smashed in and shit, but he somehow acquired it. So that's it. Doesn't get much geekier than that, you know?
And
Yeah.
Brandon, you have such speed. Tommy, did you have a jazz background?
Yeah.
No. I've played a bunch of different styles. Like, I've played for I mean, at this point, like if you haven't gathered yet, we're kind of old now. So we've been playing for a long time. I've probably been playing like 25 years now. So like, I have played jazz like occasionally, but never with a group of jazz folks. Like, sometimes I'll mess around and stuff with my drum kit on my own, but I've mostly played rock and metal. But no, thank you for the compliment. I do my best. I just try to keep time. That's what I'm doing.
What's the most challenging stuff you've tried to play? I mean, is it Lombardo? Is it Banane? Like what is it, you know?
So I'd say my favorite my favorite metal drummer is definitely Lombardo.
Yeah.
I'd say. And I'll play I'll try to play Ghost of War from time to time. Like that's beyond fun to play. I think he even says it's actually like his favorite song to play. But
Double
beyond
bass.
that, I actually love a lot of different non-metal drummers. Like I love like the guy from the Police and stuff like that. All sorts of different stuff.
It's cool.
Really good. Ever get blood on your drum kit? Or notice it later? Like, oh God.
Yeah, I've done that before. Absolutely.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Necessary. Yeah.
But it's nothing like gas. It's usually like I cut my hand on like the friggin' light or something, like in something just retarded. Yeah.
We interviewed Gene Hoglan last year, and he like
Nice.
was on the camera and he's pointing out all his blisters like this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Love it.
Hmm.
So we've had some favorite tracks from this one, although there are many, but I have to say Coffin Dweller was one of my favorites. It begins so eerily with that quick reverb picking guitar, and it just adds a sense of foreboding. Was that achieved like through downtone or pedals or both?
Yeah, yeah, but she's talking about the sound though.
Oh,
The actual, like the metal.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean the guitar tone comes from the HM2 pedal, so we use that, the tried and true Swedish Death guitar tone. You just crank the pedal all the way up to 10, and then make your adjustments as needed from the head or whatever. But basically the pedal it's all the way up to 10. That's how they get that disgusting chainsaw tone, which is the best guitar tone on earth.
It is the best. Now, have you guys been playing out? Like, have you been touring under Exsanguination or playing locally, or like what's the live situation been for you guys?
We get around a bit. We like you said, we just played a festival in New York in September, but I'm trying to remember if we played since then.
We played a couple days before Halloween.
Oh yeah, we played a few
Yeah.
days before Halloween in Rockland, right?
Yeah,
So we played up.
we played with Victor Crowley like a day before Halloween or whatever up in
Okay.
so that was cool. It's
Yeah.
cool that they came out
Yeah.
all the way from Ohio
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a pretty crazy show.
for like a one-off.
Yeah, and just knowing the behind the scenes stuff, there was a lot of wild antics going on to get them out. Like it took a lot. Not the band, but unfortunately, some of our friends up here are
The person
not
putting the
as
show
professional as they
together,
should.
it was a miracle that they got there okay and they played and they weren't pissed off. So it was a success then.
Yeah, it went well.
Are there a decent amount of like metal clubs and bars up around Boston?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, a lot of the shows, we're from the South Shore, so like, I feel I just get a vibe that there's sometimes more going on down here than there actually is in the city.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. I feel we play like, I know you probably don't know these towns, but like Rockland, West Bridgewater, place at Hull, we play there more than actually going into the city, in my opinion. I've always felt like it's easier to get people out here because when you go into a big city, you're dealing with parking, or if people are taking trains and stuff. Like I've always been a true believer. I'd rather do like I'll play a hall show in a quieter town. I just think that's easier to promote. That's just my opinion.
So it's more like the suburbs have the better places to play. Is that kind of what you're saying?
I feel it's more accommodating, and that's just my
Yeah.
opinion. They might think, other people might think differently. I just think it's easier, to get people out. It's more low key, where cities like for me, to me a city's just so congested and it's
Yeah.
busy, and I'm like, oh, I want to go all the way up there. So for me, it's just personally, it's so much easier. There's a show next week that I'm not playing, but it's my friends are in it and they're running. It's no big deal for me to just go there. I mean, yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah.
It's thoughtless, but for me, like going into Boston's like a
Interesting.
project. Yeah, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So I definitely had questions about the Void. I love the story in it about the Grim Reaper stalks this guy and he actually comes back and wins
Yeah.
and beats the shit out of the Grim Reaper. It almost
Yeah.
seemed like a cancer survivor story. Where was that inspired from? I loved it. It should be a movie.
Here's how we do the lyrics. Justin comes up with the title and the theme, and then you tell me this is what I want it to be about. This is the, you don't even necessarily say is what I want it to be about, but this is the title, and I try to match it. Sometimes it's not. That those lyrics, all I could think of is, I mean, I've had like weird dreams when I was a kid of just like getting in fights with, I don't know, maybe monsters or something, and beating them up and winning. And that's all it was. I just had
Wow.
that kind of thing. I was just describing dreams I've had, which I haven't had in decades. But when I was a kid, I had a lot of odd dreams about beating people up like monsters and stuff, and they're attacking me, and somehow I win the fight. And that's all that was. It was that simple. Kind of juvenile. But that was it.
It would make a great video.
Yeah. It would. I didn't think of that.
So, for Kevin, the bass tones are really different there. What kind of bass do you use, and do you use any special effects?
Well, I used the same Fender P bass on both of the recordings, but really just Justin does a lot of the tweaking, and then the guy who mixes and masters our stuff is a bass player, so I put a lot of faith in him. But when we play, I use a big muff.
Do you ever consider to get bass when you play?
What was that?
Do you know what bass is?
No.
I only learned this term very recently from Erica Stoltz of Sanhedrin, but it's this thing where your jaw kind of drops and you get this look on your face while you're playing. He told me about the term. I was like, wow. And then we started.
I've never noticed.
I don't think I get bass.
I know what she's talking about. I know why you do.
Yeah,
You don't have.
what is the bass? Can you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
yeah.
got it. That's it.
Yeah.
In School of Rock, he teaches the little girl to do it.
Well, I learned when I was in college, I learned how to play red barchetta just to make fun of this guy that made bass face. So I learned to play that song sarcastically just so I could make fun of him. I wanted to ask you, all right, so Chris Johnson from Deaf Haven, he's done some of your recording, mixing, mastering according to Metal Archives. How did you come to work with him?
So I've known Chris Johnson for years, since he was like a teenager. So his cousin is Greg Weeks, who was in Beyond the Six Ceilings in the Red Chord. So that's how I think I initially met him, like one way or another. And then since then, like he was always like the local sound guy at like a lot of like the bars in Boston. So like at O'Brien's, he would be the sound man. He would, do like that kind of stuff, like live sound. I think he's like a professional. He went to school for it and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then eventually we just started working with him. Like he's just great. Like I think the first time we recorded with him, we did it at God City, which is like Kurt Ballou's studio. And Kurt Ballou wasn't there, but Chris Johnson was engineered everything for us. But since then, like I've been recording drums at my house, and he comes and sets everything up and like mics everything. And then he does like all the post-production. So like we'll record drums, at my house. Justin will record guitars and bass and everything else. And Johnson does everything else. Like he just takes it and makes it sound good. Because we're definitely like reasonably competent with that, but nowhere like near what he can do.
Kurt Ballou.
He's got to get you guys some of that Deaf Haven hipster money. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The fuck, right?
He's like the last person to join Def Heaven. What's funny is like I remember I went to go to see Def Heaven play one time, and at the time Johnson was in the band, but he was like their roadie or something. And I think their bass player quits, and then he's an excellent bass player, so they hired him to play.
Yeah, they're like the most hated, loved metal band there is. Like just like endless arguments on Metal Archives about them.
All right. So I had a question about one more track off this one, The Pleasure to End All Pleasures. I love me a good serial killer song, But the part about where he finally gets it at the end and it's the guillotine, I was like, all right, this is a really old serial killer. Was it about anybody in particular?
Who was that about?
It was, and now it's escaping me.
It's escaping me.
Justin sent me the article of the guy.
Somebody to choose from.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in Germany, I think.
Oh, is it the Dusseldorf ripper?
Yeah,
Ah.
Yeah.
He was looking.
Because they still had the guillotine as execution method even in the 20th century, but he was like early 1920s, I think.
All that stuff even though unfortunately, like I probably, I'm not remembering his name, which takes credibility from what I'm about to say, but Justin sent me an article and I read the whole thing front to back and then wrote that. It was just reciting what I had read in the article about this guy's life. So then, I had to write all those lyrics. Like that thing was done and it was like, okay, now I'm going to do the lyrics. I did all those lyrics for that whole album in probably like 3 days. So once I did one, like say that song, for example, that was it. On to the next one. So by the time I was writing the next set of lyrics, I'd already forgot who that guy was. I was ripping through those. And I had to, but then it took me like another week. The hard part was like matching everything up with the riffs, which that took a while. But the initial writing down, that I do it pretty quick. And then try to piece it together. That's, I guess, the harder part, figuring that out.
Yeah, I gave him that as a song title because that was like one of his last words before they guillotined him. He asked the executioner if once he got his head chopped off, like would he be able to look at his body and would he be able to experience that? And he told the executioner that would be the pleasure to end all pleasures.
Wow.
So yeah, he's a little.
If you look at
He's a little sick. So I was like, oh, that'd make a good song title.
If you look at our song Dominion on the first one, which was actually, like he said, it was from the demo. We combined them with new songs to create that first album.
Right.
There's I can't say the guy's name. It's I think it's in Bulgaria. Dietz von Schomburg. I sing it in the lyrics, but I don't know if I'm saying it right. That one is another one. That's a true story. The guy said, when you chop my head off, he'd been punished for something, I don't know if it was a revolution or what, because he had some other guys with him that they were all going to get executed for rebelling against the king or whatever. He said, after my head comes off, if I can run across this stage, you have to free the rest of these guys. Chop my head off first. This is a true story. And they chopped his head off. Apparently the guy ran across the stage headless. And they let all the other guys go free. Look in the lyrics and you look that guy's name up. It's people saw this happen. And that's where the lyrics came from for that song.
Like the true crime shows?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
It's like some of them, it's like, all right, the John Wayne Gacy, like, oh, that whole documentary on him, it was just horrible. And he just kept getting away with it and being like, oh yeah, I wasn't there. I didn't have anything to do with it. And the same time, he was constantly luring young people back to his home to work and they'd disappear. And the cops were like, oh, we don't know.
Yeah.
The thing with John Wayne Gacy is he didn't get enough appreciation for his masonry skills because everybody he killed, he lovingly covered with concrete and no one knew. I mean, he could have had a great concrete career. I mean, that's not easy to do, Never mind the murders.
Were they all in his basement?
Yeah, they're in his crawl space.
Yeah.
In his crawl space.
Safe.
Yeah.
All
right, so
that's another
play
song
a game.
Yeah, you just came up with a song title. Thanks.
No,
John Wayne.
John
Wayne the
Mason.
Mason.
Okay. All right.
All right, so we play a game on the show. It's called Blaspheming Monikers. Okay, so I guess you guys can just take turns with this. I have 5 band names in front of me. Okay. And one of them is made up. Okay. So you guys have to guess which one I made up.
Okay.
This is extensive Metal Archives research. Okay. Okay. Number 1, Idiot Beast. Number 2, Feasting Beast. Number 3, Emerging Beast. Number 4, Jester Beast. And number 5, Sleepy Beast. Which one is not real?
Can I answer it?
Go ahead.
5.
Sleepy Beast?
Yeah, Sleepy Beast.
No, they're heavy metal from Mexico. They have one full length that just came out last year. So we can cross that one off.
He would have heard of all these bands.
So again, we have
what's
Idiot
the-
Beast, Feasting Beast, Emerging Beast, and Jester Beast.
the first one. That's
Idiot
not real.
Beast.
Yeah.
They're real, and I can't believe they're real because who names their band Idiot
Idiot.
Beast?
My
They're from New Zealand. They're a sludge band. They have one EP from 2020.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right.
Where are they from?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. They're Kiwis.
Sludge
Yeah.
band.
I immediately thought it would be Emerging Beast because that's the only one that doesn't sound kind of silly. So that's kind of the trick. That would be the band that doesn't really exist.
No, they're real. They're from
You're real.
Hungary.
Okay.
And here's the
Alright,
funny
well,
part. Here's the funny part about them, right? So they're called Emerging Beast.
Yeah.
They only have one split. So they're not emerging at all.
I thought you were gonna say they only had one
They
song.
changed their name after
Yeah.
the-
So I'll tell you guys, it was actually Feasting Beast is the one I made up.
I was gonna guess that.
That doesn't exist. Jester Beast is a thrash band from Italy. So there you go.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Who picks Idiot Beast as the name of the band? And all the other four guys go, yeah, that's great. Let's go with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, right.
Idiot Beast.
Unbelievable. Anyway, so-
So I'd love to see you guys go on tour. If you could put yourself with a fantasy lineup, whether it be bands existing currently in the past, who would you put Exsanguination with
yeah.
to go out on tour?
Dismember.
Definitely Dismember. And
Definitely Dismember. Yep.
Is there one more band we could throw in?
Yeah.
Pick 2 or 3.
How about Deceased?
Deceased.
Wow. We have a nice interview with King Foley on the show on our YouTube channel. Yeah. He's the real deal.
They're doing like a documentary about him. You heard about this?
Yeah.
Oh my
Well,
god, yeah.
there's a documentary on the band Riot, right? And he's in it. And like I was watching, then all of a sudden, if you watch, it's on YouTube. All of a sudden, he's defending like Rhett Forrester. He's like, he was the best singer for Riot. Where did King
What do you
Foley
know
come from?
about Riot singers.
I've actually seen probably the same one. I don't remember seeing him. I'm gonna have to rewatch that one now.
Yeah, he's in it big time. Yeah,
I'm
he's a
fan
big
of it.
Born in America fan. Yeah.
All right, what about
Okay.
Kevin? He didn't say anything.
I mean,
You know what Kev's gonna say.
yeah, I know you know what I'm gonna say.
It's
So,
all right. Say it.
Say it's okay.
I mean, if this is like Magic Tour, I want to open for Maiden.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
I
They'd
mean,
never
no one
let you
watching
because-
Smoke wants to see us, but
You know they'd never let you
I can
because
watch them every night.
Steve Harris
What?
won't let anybody good open for Maiden. You know that. It's always got to be like his sister-in-law's band or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I've seen his daughter open for him once.
Oh, yeah, 'cause I have too.
Okay.
Yeah, I have. I saw them on Power Slave tour twice, and once was Twisted Sister, and the second was Accept, and they both were fantastic. But sometime in the '90s, he started just having shitty bands open for Maiden. I don't know what happened. Like maybe somebody blew him off the stage or something. I don't know.
Like Steel
Yeah.
Panther.
Halloween, maybe. I don't know.
Mm.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There
now-
you go. There's the 4. That would be our tour right there.
I think I saw him.
Deceased,
in, like-
Iron Maiden, and Dismember, and us
Great,
somewhere
yeah.
in there.
That's a lineup. Yeah, I think I saw him in like 2010, and like Steel Panther opened up. I was like, "Fuck off, jeez." You
Wait,
know.
that was with Iron Maiden?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
we just came
Wow.
late.
Okay.
We just came late. We're just like, "Oh fuck, I'm not watching Steel Panther." Fuck off.
They when Iron Maiden played out here and Ghost opened for them, and I mean, I could have cared less.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I didn't. We were sitting kind of on the like not really in the main place where the show was, and I had friends that were really into them, and I wasn't hip to it. I'm like,
I'm surprised to even hear that. Ghost is they're a big band. I'm surprised he even had the guts to do that.
Yeah,
so.
they played, and I didn't. I mean, nothing. I got nothing against, and just because I'm not into a band doesn't mean I don't
Right.
have anything against them. I just didn't care, and they, I heard them, but I didn't go in or run in. And then after that, obviously, I got familiar with them because then I was, who's this band that I don't care about? So I looked them up and stuff. Yeah, that was Ghost when I saw them, and I too did not. I'll tell you, I remember years ago,
It's like this man's trash.
I the big one for me, I'll never forget. I saw Pantera, years and years and years ago, obviously, and it was either White Zombie or Rob Zombie was opening, and I'm like, I just sat in the parking lot. I'm like, I can't take that like machine process from the drum,
Right.
and
I remember Anal Cunt used to open for them.
Yeah.
I was at the show when they opened for Pantera.
I saw them Pantera, I think twice, and both times Anal Cunt.
Yeah. So, but on that night it was Rob Zombie or White Zombie or whoever, And yeah, same thing. I've done a lot of sitting outside during. I saw Marilyn Manson by accident once, and so
Really?
that they were playing Ozfest or something years ago, and I watched it. I was interested. I thought it was a piece of history, but again, it's that machine thing that those drums
No,
just
I get
sound
it.
so electronic
Yeah.
to me. I can't get into it.
It's called industrial.
Yeah, industrial, whatever.
A tour for you guys. Ready? Castrator, skeletal remains, you guys, and Exhumed. Boom. Send you guys out.
That's great.
All right.
I would
All
do
right.
That's a
that.
great line.
Yeah, that would work.
When are you gonna book it?
Yeah, let us know when the dates are. We'll be there.
I know, right?
Remember Zoom used to have
That's-
that guy in the band that would throw up all over the stage? Remember that back in the day? What was
Oh,
that
yeah.
guy's name? Is he still around? The bass player used to like throw up. He used to
Oh, yeah.
bring the
Well,
fake
which
kid.
band? Which band are we talking about?
Exhumed.
Exhumed.
They would come out.
Well,
he'd
they
have
have
like a
they have this doctor,
head
what's it,
and-
Filthy.
Dr.
Dr.
Filthy, and he
Runs
he's
around
like
with a
he's
chainsaw.
like in a surgeon's mask, and he runs around with a chainsaw that has
Oh, I've never
sparks
seen
coming
that.
out of it. Yeah,
that a-
that I've seen. I haven't seen the guy throwing up, but actually,
Oh,
when
he
we
did
we
throw
interviewed
up on the bands.
when we interviewed
that-
Matt, he was telling us that like they went to Mexico for a tour, and his bullet belt, because that caliber is not okay in Mexico, and the chainsaw, like the Mexican authorities, like at customs, were like, "You're going to jail."
He was like,
Yeah.
no, it's part of the band. It's, it's
Yeah, they don't want to hear about that down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So chainsaws and bullet belts don't go well through Mexican customs. Boy, there's an album title for you right there.
Yeah.
or an autobiography.
Or not a biography.
That
yeah.
sounds like an AC title.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fucking Mexican customs. Ain't no trick.
And Matt had a lot of good stories. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I hope you guys do get out on tour so we can come see you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or maybe at Maryland Death Fest.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. We did just play New York City in September. Where even one-off shows, your area, if someone has something and wants to talk to us, we're open to anything. I mean, people here, we get jobs and lots of stuff going on in life, but we're not our door's not shut to anything. So even if it's not a tour, whatever the situation, putting the word out for those who see us. We do get around. So as long as we can schedule it in, get in touch with us, see what we can do. We'd love to meet you guys in person, and you can give us song titles. There
you go. Yeah. All right. So one final question, completely not metal related. The Ben Affleck movies, Gone Baby Gone, and The Town. Does he get it right with how it really is living in Mass, or is it all? Did you watch those movies and go fuck off? Like, what?
I've got a strong
accurate
opinion
are they?
about that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of
I'm
any
not
of
sure
that.
if we're all going to agree on that.
Yeah, no, I just don't. I don't think it. I think putting that persona out doesn't really help anybody around here. So that's just my opinion. And
Yeah.
I don't know what. And a lot of those guys, you'll notice, don't live here anymore. They love it. They love it here. And as soon as they get some money, they go to California. So I don't know what that's all about. So, but that's just my opinion.
I do want to say something about movie accuracy in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Thanksgiving yet?
Not yet.
No.
Oh no, not yet.
Just came out.
Well, if you see it, they talk about Hanover South. It's not a real place. I grew up in Hanover. It's just Hanover. There's no South.
Yeah.
They have this rival football team,
Wow.
Hanover South. I was like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
It takes place in Plymouth, apparently, right?
Yeah,
Kevin
yeah.
does it. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
really?
So yeah. So
I had to ask you guys because like Hollywood will do their impersonation of Baltimore, and I'm like, what the hell? This is wrong.
Yeah, what about The Wire? Tell us about that.
What did you
All
say?
right. Or Homicide, Life on the Street. It isn't really that bad,
Yeah, I work in
great
Baltimore
show.
City. We both work in Baltimore City every day, and we're not caught in drug deal crossfires every Wednesday.
I've been down there. People are nice. I've had no problems in that area.
Yeah.
So they're all good. Right next to I remember you always kind of near Washington D.C. when I drive through there. It was very close. Yeah.
So, it's not like all that and a lot of, unless you're like on the block, and then what else would you expect, right?
Right. Well,
Yeah. Trouble will find you if you look for it. I'm a strong
Absolutely,
believer in
yeah.
that.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.